Hello. Good afternoon. Yeah, so how was your intermediate algebra diagnostic test? Okay naman?
Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yan. Hello, ma'am.
Hello. So I hope you did well in your diagnostic test. Can we start now? Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. I am Ma'am Elian. I will be your teacher for today. And for today, we'll be dealing with intermediate algebra. Okay, so I believe that you took this when you were in grade 8. And for some of you, maybe it's like a million years ago na. So I hope this review will help you recall those concepts. And actually, intermediate algebra is very important because it contains a lot of fundamental concepts that you will be needing in your other math courses like geometry or trigonometry or calculus. So it's very important to know or to recall the techniques and tools that are taught in intermediate algebra. Okay? So kung may tanong kayo, huwag kayong mahiyang mag-chat kung may gustong i-clarify sa mga discussions natin. Sure. Are you ready? Shall we start? Naku, I'm sorry, hindi ko mapapakita yung mukha ko kasi may sila yung camera ko. I'm really sorry. Boses na lang. Are you ready? Shall we start? I hope you'll be having fun with intermediate algebra for today. Shall we start? Hello, Clarence. Yeah, you can search me on FB if you wanna see my face. Okay, shall we start? Kasi marami tayong pag-uusapan ngayon, so huwag na natin patagalin pa. Alam ko excited na kayo na matutunan ng intermediate algebra. Okay. So one of the most important concepts under intermediate algebra, actually your grade 8 intermediate algebra revolves around the concept of functions. Kaya importante yung intermediate algebra kasi pagdating nyo sa iba pang math, lagi nyo babalikan yung mga functions. So let's define what a function is. Okay, so a function is a kind of a relation. Mathematically speaking, a relation is a correspondence between two sets of objects. So it's like the usual relation that you know. So pairing ng dalawang set, the elements of one set to the elements of the other set. So for example, we have these two sets here. I have set A at the left corner and set B at the right corner. Suppose my first set contains the elements, let's say A, B, C. And the other set contains 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. So pag sinabi nating relation, you can do any pairing you want from the first set to the second set. Okay? So for example, I want to pair A to 1, A to 2, and I want to pair B to 2 and C to 3. Okay, this is a relation. You can a pairing from the first set to the second set. Okay, so this first set here is what we call the input set containing the input values. The second set here is what we call the output set containing the output values. Okay, and in the sense of real numbers, these input values is what actually we refer to as the x variables, and the output values we usually refer them as the y variables. Okay, so in the sense of real numbers. So also in the sense of real numbers or real number functions, yung mga x values natin, pag i-collect natin sila, that will constitute your domain. So domain is the set of x values, and the set of y values will be your range. So tandaan nyo to ha. So the x values that will constitute your domain, and the y values that will constitute your range, in the sense of real numbered functions. Okay, now, sabi natin kanina, ang isang function is just kind of a relation. So you can look at function as a special kind of relation. Why it's special? Because you impose some conditions for the relation to be a function. So ano yung kondisyon na yun para ang isang function ay maging relation? Naalala niyo pa ba? Can you answer me in the chat? What is that condition so that a function will be a relation? So a relation can be any pairing from one set to the other. So how will a function be a relation? How will one relation become a function? Many to one. Isa lang yun sa mga posibleng maging functions. Only have one pair. Hindi mauulit yung x. Correct. One pair. One pair only. X is only one respective y. This is correct. From Christian. Ito yung, I think, holistic na sagot. Only one y for every x. Okay. So we define a function as a relation wherein there's only one y value for each x value. Ibig sabihin, yung bawat x value ay stick to 1. So bawat x, isa lang dapat yung y na kapartner niya. For yung y, okay lang na magkaroon siya ng maraming partners na x. Pero for a function, dapat yung bawat x value, isa lang dapat yung partner niya sa y. So naglalagay tayo ng restriction on the values of x. Hindi pwedeng maulit si x in the definition of the function. So dito sa ating example dito, ito ba ay function? Itong mapping na ginawa ko kanina? Itong relation ba na to ay function? Itong pairing from A to 1, A to 2, B to 2, C to 3. Is this a function? Tingnan natin. Yes? No? No. Okay, hindi. Kasi na-define niya yung definition ng function. Kasi sa function, bawat x value ay stick to 1. Isa lang dapat yung partner sa y. However, itong si A na to, dalawa yung partner niya, si 1 at si 2. So pag ganito na nangyari, hindi na to function. This will become a function if we remove this first pairing of A to 1. So in this case, if we have now the new set of pairs A to 2, B to 2, C to 3, then this is a function. Kasi bawat x value sa first set or sa domain, isa na yung partner sa y. Dito sa mga y values, it's okay kung maraming partners si 2, A and B. It's still a function. Kasi ang restriction, pagdating sa function is that again, for each x value, there corresponds one y value. Okay. So, ang unfair no, kasi si y walang restriction. Pero, do you know, meron pang isang type ng function na special, mas special pa sa function, na hindi lang si x dapat yung stick to 1, si y din dapat ay stick to 1. So, yung pair xy ay unique para sa isa't isa. Nalala niyo ba kung anong klaseng function yun? Anong klaseng function yung pati si y ay stick to 1 din. Isa lang din yung partner niya sa x. Do you remember what type of function that is? Yeah, the most special, I think. A linear function is that kind of function. Pero in general, anong tawag sa functions na yon? 1-to-1. So tama si Carl Kim. Tama ba? Carl Kim, yeah, it's correct. So 1-to-1 function. So 1-to-1 function, first it is a function. So you have the restrictions for x. And the 1-to-1 property, you put restrictions to y. So that means the pair xy is unique for each x and for each y. Now, graphically speaking, do you remember kung ano yung test para matest ko ang isang relation ay function. Loyal function. Okay. But it's really one-to-one function. Well, this is funny, Archie. Okay, so graphically speaking again, suppose you are given graphs. Do you remember how you test whether a relation is a function or not? Vertical line test, tama. So tama. Vertical line test is the graphical test to determine whether a relation is a function. So simply, you just draw vertical lines across the graph. At dapat yung bawat vertical line ay mag-cross sa graph it at most one point. If that is the case, then you have a function. For the case of one-to-one function, ano yung test para ma-determine if a relation is a one-to-one function? So vertical line test for functions, how about for one-to-one functions? Horizontal line test. Hindi lang horizontal line test. You have to do, tama si Natalie, you have to do vertical and horizontal line test. Because if you talk about one-to-one functions, you must check first if it's a function. So you have to do vertical line test. And you have to check the one-to-one property. That's the time you will do the horizontal line test. So you have to do two tests to determine whether a relation is a one-to-one function. For functions, vertical line test will suffice. Okay? Okay, is that clear? So pag relation, any pairing, pag function, you put restrictions on x. Pag one-to-one function, you put restrictions on both x and y. Is this clear? Okay, let's proceed. So let's proceed to question number 1. So question number 1 involves two concepts. Number 1 is an operations of functions, and number 2, evaluation of functions. Okay, so for number 1, you have two functions, g and f. G is a quadratic function defined by x squared plus 2x minus 7. F of x is a quadratic function as well, defined as 4 minus x squared. And you want to evaluate this expression here. So in the numerator, you have g minus f at negative 2. So you have difference of two functions. If you operate on functions using the difference, it's just really simple. Ang gagawin nyo lang, I know you remember this, you just get the difference of the corresponding function values. So g minus f at x is equal to g of x minus f of x. So here, you really don't, if you are doing evaluation, you really don't have to simplify it. You can use this expression right away and solve for the difference evaluated at negative 2. Okay. Since we have the simplified expression here, we'll use 2x squared plus 2x minus 11 as the definition for g minus f of x. Then after that, we'll evaluate the corresponding difference at negative 2. And you just substitute negative 2 to x here in the expression. And so you will get negative 7. So the next is the denominator. So if you have product of two functions, ganun lang din, you just multiply the two function definitions. So you just multiply g of x and f of x. And this is the product. Again, no need to expand, okay, because we are doing evaluation. So after getting the product, you just simply evaluate at 1 and you will get negative 12. So using negative 7, yes, it is f of x. There was a typo before. So hindi yata nabago sa copies ninyo. So this one should be f of x because the variable is not t, it's x. Okay, typo lang yan. Okay, so the numerator is negative 7 here. The denominator is negative 12. So dividing those two numbers, you will get 7 over 12. So that's letter B. Okay? So ang pwede nyo rin gawin dito, since evaluation lang naman yung ginagawa, is that, okay, let's see. Okay, you can simply solve automatically. So you have g at negative 2 minus f at negative 2 all over g at 1 times f at 1. So pwedeng diretsong ganito kung evaluation lang naman. So you just evaluate negative 2 for the definition in g. You evaluate f at negative 2, get the difference, you will get negative 7. Exactly the same sa ginawa natin kanina. And in the denominator, you can automatically evaluate g at 1 and f at 1. And I guess this should yield 12, negative 12. That's why you will get negative 7 over negative 12. Simplify it further, you have 7 over 12. Let's letter B. Okay, so letter B. Marami sa inyo nakakuha. Okay, do you have any questions regarding this one? So again, the topics na involved dito ay operations and functions and evaluation for a specific value of x. Is this clear? So I think this is a simple concept. Okay, sige. So madali pa lang to na. So evaluation pa lang at operations on functions. So I think we can proceed now to question number 2. Okay, question number 2, you are given a graph and you need to determine the domain and range of this function. So it's simple kung bibigyan tayo ng definition ng function kasi I think alam nyo pa naman kung ano yung mga domain at range ng linear, quadratic, and the other functions. However, in this case, we're given a graph and we need to know the domain and range of this function. So let's recall our discussion from the first topic on functions. Kapag sinabi nating domain, we are concerned about the x or the y values. Maraming tama ah. So when we talk about the domain, we are dealing with x or y values. Yeah, so C, Jean, we are dealing with the x values. So if we look for the domain, then let's check the x values. So the x values are here on the x-axis. So nandito ang ating mga x values. Take note that the function is represented by this graph. Ibig sabihin, for a specific value of x, if there corresponds a part of the graph, that means your function is defined on that value of x. For example, for x equals 10, meron siyang part sa graph. For x equals 10, the corresponding part on the graph is this point. Itong point na to. For x equals 10, ang corresponding part niya sa graph ay itong part na to sa baba. So that means our function is defined on x equals 10. Also for negative 10 is part of the domain because if you check, it has a corresponding part of the graph, this one. That means your function is defined for x equals negative 10. So for all values of x dito sa x-axis, i-check natin siya. Ito bang mga x values natin sa x-axis at sino-sino lang ang may part sa graph? Okay? So ang gagawin natin, i-check natin isa-isa. So I think it would be easier if we draw a number line. And this number line represents those values of x na merong part sa graph. Okay, so magda-draw tayo ng line, solid line, kapag merong part yung x value na yon sa ating graph. So from negative infinity, ay, hindi na pala kita. I'll change the color. Okay. So from negative infinity, merong part sa graph for these values of x until here. Tama ba? Kasi after that, wala nang graph. Okay? So walang graph dito in between this point. And nagka-graph lang ulit for this value of x going towards positive infinity. Okay? So itong mga values lang na x dito, sa ating ginawang line, ang may part sa graph. So that means your domain is this set. The set negative infinity to -6, excluding -6. Union from 6 to positive infinity, excluding +6. Yes, that's correct, Ralph. X greater than 6, x less than -6, but you have to combine those two sets. So medyo ang candidate natin ay letter C, kasi siya lang yung negative infinity to -6 yung domain, excluding -6. We exclude -6 because take note, here in our graph, we have a hollow circle. That means that point is not part of the graph. So -6 is not included in the domain. And also here, hindi natin sinama si +6 because we have a hollow circle at +6. So our function is not defined at +6. Carry bells? Maliwanag. So obviously, ang sagot na ay letter C. So kahit hindi natin i-check yung domain. Pero since nandito na tayo sa topic na to, i-check na rin natin yung range. I-check na rin natin yung range. Tama nga ba na ang range ay -infinity to -4, excluding -4, union 6 to positive infinity, excluding 6. So ang range, similarly sa domain, it represents our y values. So katulad ng ginawa natin kanina sa domain, i-check natin dito, alin lang yung mga y values sa y-axis. So nandito yung mga y values sa y-axis natin, alin lang dito ang may part sa graph. Okay, so ganun din yung gagawin natin. Dahil y values, you will expect that we will be drawing a vertical line. Okay? So draw tayo ng vertical line. So titigil tayo sa pag-draw ng vertical line kapag walang part sa graph yung ating mga y values. So gamit tong graph na to, we have y values. Okay, we have y values from -infinity. From -infinity up to here. Tumigil yung graph natin dyan. Okay, so from -infinity up to here. Nagka-graph ulit tayo for y values starting here up to positive infinity. So that's why our range is from -infinity to here. This is given by -4. Since we have a hollow circle, -4 is not included. And union 6 to positive infinity, kasi nag-start yung graph natin for for y equals 6 up to positive infinity. I don't know. Sir Neb, it's recording, right? Nakalagay dito sa akin recording.
Class is recording. The class is recording, huwag kayo mag-worry. Hindi naman, baka lang hindi makita ng iba.
Well, I'm not really sure, but it says here on my desktop that it's recording. Yeah, okay, so Sir Nev verified it. Yes, the class is recording. Okay, so no worries. Is this clear? So if you're given a graph and you want to get the domain and the range, you simply have to check the x values and the y values. Alin din sa mga x values ang may part sa graph? Alin din sa mga x and y values ang may part sa graph? Okay, as simple as that if you want to find the domain and the range. Okay, so again, let's proceed to number 3. So again, for number 2, the correct answer is letter C. Okay, so for number 3, the next topic is on composition of functions. So this is, again, one of the operations on functions or composition. So very simple lang. So for example, if you have f circle g, we just replace x in the definition of f by g of x. So I know that you know this topic very well. So for number 3, we are given f of x as rational functions 1 over x minus 1. And g of x is also a rational function 1 over x. And we want to determine f circle g. So again, in the definition, you simply, since you have f circle g, ipapasok si g kay f. Okay, so we simply change x here in f of x with g of x. So the definition ng composition, we change all x variables in f with 1 over x. So simply, we have this one, 1 over x minus 1. Then you perform this complex fraction by simplifying first the denominator. So the LCD is x, so you have 1 minus x all over x. And then you do some division of fractions. So you just multiply by the reciprocal. And finally, you will have x over 1 minus x. So for number 3, the correct answer is letter D. Okay, so now, how about if I want to compute for g circle f of x? So what is this composition, g circle f of x? So dito, ang gagawin nyo, instead of putting g into f, we're going to do the opposite. You are putting f into g. So what is that? G circle f of x. So that is x minus 1, correct. So tama si Megs, Christian, Jesh. Okay, so that's x minus 1 for g circle f. So you can see in this example that g circle f, or the composition of two functions, is not commutative. Ibig sabihin, hindi pareho yung f circle g sa g circle f. Okay, so for some function it will be, but in general it won't be the same. F circle g is not necessarily equal to g circle f. So the operation is not commutative. So again, g circle f of x is equal to x minus 1. So let me just write here. Should be x minus 1. Okay, so let's proceed. For number 4, we want to get the inverse of the function defined by the square root function square root of x plus 4. So obviously, since we are getting the inverse of the function, I think it's intuitive na ang inverse ng square root ay quadratic. So it can be A or D. Okay, so ang opposite ng operation ng square root ay getting the square. So we are expecting a quadratic function for the inverse of a function. So we just have to choose between A and D. So now, let's get the inverse of this function. So the first step is to write f of x as y. So we'll write this f of x here as y variable. So we have y equals square root of x plus 4. So the second step, since inverse ang hinahanap natin, we will interchange the roles of x and y. So we change y to x, so papalitan natin to ng x, and we change x to y. So we will be having x equals square root of y plus 4. Then finally, the last step, tatlo lang yung steps sa pagkuha ng inverse. Number 1, change f of x to y. Number 2, interchange the roles of x and y. And the third step, ito yung crucial, ito yung marami yung gagawin. You need to solve for y. Ano yung ibig sabihin na you need to solve for y? You need to write the equation in terms of y equals a function of x. Or in other words, you have to isolate y to the other side of the equation. So dapat malagay natin to si y on the other side of the equation na wala nang ibang kasama. Since we have a square root function here, and we want to isolate y, so we need to square both sides of the equation. So we have x squared equals y plus 4. And finally, para si y na lang ang matira dito sa side na to, we will transpose positive 4 to the other side of the equation. So finally, you will have y equals x squared minus 4. And tapos na yung third step kasi na-isolate na natin si y in the other side of the equation. And squared minus 4. Okay? So just to be precise, this inverse, this is given by letter A. Maraming tama. Maraming nagsabi ng A kanina. So just to be precise, this inverse is only true for x greater than 0. Okay, kasi you have to consider the concept of You have to consider the concept of one-to-one functions when you're talking about inverse. So number 5. So which of the following piecewise functions has the given graph given below? Okay, so it's really easy to check for this one because as you can see in the leftmost graph, this is a parabola. And yung parabola, that defines a quadratic function. The middle part of the graph is a horizontal line, so that means it should represent a constant function. And the last function at the rightmost is a line, so it should represent a linear function. So ibig sabihin, with those initial information at hand, kaya na nating mag-eliminate ng mga hindi sagot. So again, alam natin na yung leftmost ay quadratic. So wala na yung letter C at yung letter D kasi sa leftmost nila, linear yung nakadefine. But no, the leftmost graph is a parabola. So therefore, it should be a quadratic function. Okay, so ang choices na lang natin ngayon ay A at B. So tingnan natin ano yung difference ng A at B. So the difference is that dito sa definition ng second condition, in letter A, you have 0 to 3 excluding 0. In the second condition, you have 0 to 3 including both 0 and 3. So, ibig sabihin, titingnan lang natin yung middle part. Ang middle part ay constant function passing through y equals 2. At ito ay defined mula 0 to 3. At dahil hollow dito, hindi kasama yung 0. So, it should be letter A. Okay, so that's how you eliminate those choices that are not answers. Then you just compare the remaining choices. Kung alin doon yung will best describe the graph here given dito sa tanong natin. So we eliminated C and D dahil ang leftmost graph ay dapat quadratic kasi ito ay parabola. And finally, kinompare natin yung A at B at nakita natin na sa middle part, ang definition ay 0 to 3 excluding 0. And that will be letter A. Okay, so tama yung letter A. So now, let's proceed to quadratic functions. So in general, a quadratic function is defined as ax squared plus bx plus c, where a is not equal to 0. Of course, a should not be equal to 0. Otherwise, kapag nag-0 si a, your function will no longer be quadratic. It will be linear or constant. Okay, so it's important na hindi mawala yung quadratic term for us to have a quadratic function. So again, this is the general form, expanded form. Ax squared plus bx plus c. Now, you also have another form of a quadratic equation where we call it the standard form. Iba din ang tawag dito ay vertex form. Bakit tinatawag na vertex? Because if you have this form of the quadratic function, automatically, h and k will give you the vertex of the parabola if you will graph your quadratic function. Just be careful here. Sa definition natin, na ito ay x minus h. Okay? So, x minus h. So, you have to be careful with that in finding the value of h. So, recall natin kanina, this is general, expanded form, ax squared plus bx plus c. This one is the vertex form or the standard form. Ang kagandahan sa form na ito, class, is that if you have this form, you can automatically get the vertex. No need to compute for the vertex. H, K, those coordinates will give you the vertex automatically. And if you have the vertex, kapag mayroon na kayong vertex, you will get the axis of symmetry. Anong ibig sabihin ng axis of symmetry? So suppose you have this parabola, let's say ito yung H, let's say ito yung K, at ito yung parabola ninyo with vertex at HK, opening downward. Pag sinabing axis of symmetry, that is the line that will divide the parabola into mirror images. Itong graph na to, itong line na to. And this line is a vertical line. And it is passing through x equals h kasi it's passing through the vertex. So that's why the axis of symmetry is always x equals h. given that HK are the coordinates of your vertex. And also, yung role ng A, it's important. The role of A will give you the nature of the parabola. If A is positive, the parabola is opening upward. If A is negative, the parabola is opening downward. Okay, equation po ba ng parabola? It is a quadratic equation. Ang parabola ay graph. Okay? So we are talking about quadratic equations, and the parabola is what you call the graph of a quadratic equation or a quadratic function. Okay, so again, this is standard form. The other one a while ago is the general form. Okay, paano kapag horizontal yung parabola? If that is the case, I know that you have took that in your conic sections, those parabola opening to the left and right. Okay, that's okay, but those are not functions. If you have a parabola, say, opening to the right, this one, okay, this is a conic section, this is a parabola, but this is not a function. It fails the vertical line test. That's why, nung nag-intermediate algebra kayo, dahil functions na pinag-uusapan ninyo, laging parabola opening upward or downward lang ang pinag-usapan nyo. Those parabola opening to the left or to the right were discussed in pre-calculus, I guess, when you discuss conic sections. Because conic sections doesn't have to have the condition of functions. Okay? So yung opening to the right and left, hindi sila function. Those are still parabola, but those are not functions. Okay, so here in intermediate algebra, since we are confined on functions, we'll just be dealing with parabola opening to the right, opening upwards or downwards. So we have two forms of the equation, the general form or the expanded form, and the standard form, which is also called as the vertex form. Okay, so now, tignan natin dito. So which of this graph represents the function x squared minus 8x plus 18. So dito sa mga graphs natin sa A, B, C, and D, magkakaiba yung vertex. So dito ay 4, negative 2, negative 4, 2, 4, 2, negative 4, negative 2. Ang problema dito, class, sa ating function, sa general form, hindi siya naka-vertex form. For I guess, naalala nyo pa dapat kung paano kumuha ng value ng paano kumuha ng H and K kapag expanded form. Sige, bigay ko na ha kasi nawalan tayo ng oras kanina. So for you to solve for H, given a general form of the quadratic function, it's just negative b over 2a. Na-discuss nyo to, nakalimutan nyo lang. H is negative b over 2a. That is the first coordinate of the vertex. And for k, after getting h, the partners yung h and k should be the function value at h. So here, in our quadratic equation, a is 1, b is negative 8, and c is positive 18. So solving for h, you will have negative 8 over 2, so that's 4. Finding for k, just substitute 4 in the function definition, and you will get 2. So therefore, the vertex that we're looking for should be 4, 2, and that is given by choice letter B. Okay. Sabi ni Maui, completing of square. Yes, pwede kang mag-completing of square para gawin mong vertex form itong quadratic. Kaya lang, in the case of exam, masyado matabaho. Masyadong matagal. So, pili tayo ng technique na pinakamabilis at ang pinakamabilis ay mag-compute gamit yung formula. Pwede yung completing of square, walang problema. Kaya lang, sa akin ay mas matagal yun compared to using the formula for h and k. So, it would really be a great help if you remember the formula for h and k. So, as simple as that, negative b over 2a, just remember that, and k is the function value at the computed value for h. Then you will get the vertex. So that's why for number 6, the vertex is 4, 2. So the graph that we're looking for is letter B. Okay? Hula ulit. At least after nito, si Gabriel ay hindi na manghuhula kasi alam na niya kung paano mag-compute ng vertex. But, okay, Paul, you're asking, pwede po ba yung maglalagay ng mga values of x? Yes, you can do that. Actually, that's some brute force approach. You can check for these values of x if it will satisfy the equation. I don't know, is that what you intend to do, Paul? Yun ba yung gusto mong gawin? You check for values here, and iti-check mo kung isa-satisfy na yung equation? Is that the case? So if you're doing that, yeah, pwede yun. Pwede mong i-check kung itong 4, 2 ay nagsasatisfy sa equation. So if x is equal to 4, will y be equal to 2? Pwede yun. Yes, pwede yun, Paul. If you forgot this formula and you have the graph, you can check for 1 point and see if it satisfies your equation. Yes, you can do that. Okay, so if you try to check if x is 4, you will see that y should be positive 2. So hindi pwede yung si A. And you'll also see that if c is negative 4, y will not be 2 or negative 2. So that's why A, C, and D are not answers. So pwede yun. That's smart. Okay. Okay, so ang concept natin dito ay, you have to remember, is get formula for getting the vertex of a parabola. Okay, let's proceed to 7. So determine the quadratic equation with vertex at 2, 5 and passing through the point 3, 0. Okay, now, kailangan yung isa-isahin yung problem, class. So you are given the vertex. So ang pinaka pwede niyong gawin is to use the vertex form because you are given the vertex, and besides, your choices are all in vertex form. Okay, so tingnan natin. Ang vertex ay 2, 5. So if you recall from our definitions a while ago, okay, so in vertex form, the function should be a quantity the square of x minus h plus k. So using h equals 2 and k equals 5, obviously, mali na yung letter C and letter B. Tama na? So mali yung letter C, mali din yung letter B. Because here, in letter C and letter B, the values of h are negative 2. So since ang h ay positive 2, ang choices na lang natin ay A or D. So, ang tanong ngayon, alin dito? So, ang candidate nyo na equation ay A, x minus 2 squared plus 5. So, para maging complete yung definition ng ating quadratic function, you need to find the value of A. So, paano gagamitin yung value of A? Siyempre, may isa pa kayo dyang given na hindi pa nagagamit. The parabola is passing through 3, 0. In terms of the function, if you say that the graph is passing through a certain point, the equation should satisfy that point. Anong ibig sabihin ng the equation should satisfy that point? Ibig sabihin nun, if x is equal to 3, y should be equal to 0. Okay, so you should use that. If x is equal to 3, y should be equal to 0 to find the value of h. And take note, itong f of x, pwede nyo itong gawing y. So if x is equal to 3, y should be equal to 0. So therefore, substituting that, you can get the value of a. So y is 0, x is 3, so a is equal to negative 5. So to complete our definition of the equation, a is negative 5 and the vertex is 2, 5. So therefore, the function is given by letter D. Okay? Okay, so now, ang pwede nyo rin gawin, class, ay, okay, A and D ang choices ko. Hindi ko alam kung paano pipiliin kung si 5 or si negative 5 ang A. Eh di substitute ulit. Katulad ng ginawa kanina ni Paul. Nalala nyo? Kung pwede ba daw na gumamit ng points? So pwede yon. So gamitin nyo yung 0.30. I-substitute nyo sa A or sa D. Kapag ginamit nyo si X ay equal sa 3 sa letter A, ang value ng Y ay ano? Kapag si X ay 3, this one is 5 times 1 plus 5. That's 10. Ibig sabihin, the graph is not passing through 30 for letter A. Kasi kapag si X ay 3, at sinubstitute nyo siya dito, ang Y ay hindi 0, ang Y ay 10. So, ibig sabihin, A is not the equation that you're looking for. It should be D. Kasi sa letter D, if X is 3, and you substitute it here in our function, so negative 5 times quantity square of 3 minus 2, that's negative 5, plus 5, you will get Y to be 0. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, letter D talaga yung hinahanap nyong sagot. Okay, so you can check where it opens. I don't know if that is too helpful. I think malilito ka lang lalo. The slope. Since V is 2,5 and it goes downward, you can just choose A to negative 5. Okay, let's see. So you have here from Audric, he's saying, tingnan natin yung suggestion niya. So maybe that can help. So maybe if you try to graph, the vertex is at 2,5. So let's see. And the other point is at 3,0. Where's 3,0? Here. Oh yeah, since we are dealing with functions, it's impossible that the parabola is opening upward. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so you can choose A to be negative. That's smart. Thank you, Audrey. Tama yun. So, pwedeng ang gawin nyo din ay, kung nahirapan kayong kumuha ng value for A, at yun na lang yung natitira. Ano na lang, positive 5 ba or negative 5? You can do some simple analysis like graphing the vertex and the point. As you can see here, the vertex is above the point, so you are sure that your parabola is opening downward. So that will give you an idea that the value of A should be negative 5. Okay, from Charles. Ma'am, di ba po ang... yeah, you forgot the multiplier for the multiplier 5. Right, Charles? You forgot the multiplier 5 or negative 5. So the two possible answers would be 10 or 0. Okay? So, pwedeng marami kayong approaches na pwedeng isolve si A, pwedeng i-check yung point to 0, alin doon yung magsasatisfy yung equation, or you can simply do some graphical analysis. So, kung ano yung mas madali sa inyo, do that. Okay? Okay, so again, for Charles, again, you forgot the multiplier for the expression x minus 2 squared. It's not 6. It's either 10 or 0. So it should be 0 kasi yun yung given sa problem. That's why we should have letter D. Oh, cool. So madami kayo nasasuggest ng mga techniques. So that's good. So you still remember intermediate algebra. Okay. Okay, so this is okay. So you just have to remember here the vertex form of the parabola. So again, it's x minus h, not x plus h. Okay, let's proceed to, okay, number 8. So for number 8, the only thing that we can do here is by long division. So ang gagawin ko dito, class, ay just guide you on how to do this. I think you remember this one. This one is taught in not only intermediate algebra, but also in basic algebra in first year, in grade 7. So the first thing that you need to do, para kayo nagde-divide ng numbers, so ilalagay nyo dito yung dividend. 3x raised to 4 plus 2x cubed plus x squared. And you have to check if all of the degree from the highest degree to the constant ay kompleto. Kapag hindi, maglalagay kayo ng 0 times x raised to the power na missing. Since wala tayong linear, meron tayong degree 4, degree 3, degree 2, isusupply natin yung linear term, 0x, then the constant 4. Then you divide this dividend by the divisor x squared plus 1. So the first thing that you will do, para lang talaga kayo nagde-divide ng numbers, you divide the leading term, 3x raised to 4, by the leading term of x squared. For this case, we cannot use synthetic division and the reason that our divisor is x squared plus 1. Take note na yung synthetic ay gumagamit ng zeros ng divisor. X squared plus 1 does not have a zero in the real numbers kasi ang zeros nito ay positive, negative I. So we cannot use synthetic division. Okay? Okay. So gagamit lang tayo ng synthetic division if our divisor is of the form, so natin dito, x minus a. Kapag ang divisor ay x minus a, pwede ko yung gumamit ng synthetic division. But for this case, our divisor is x squared plus 1, not linear, doesn't have zeros, so we can't use synthetic division. Ang synthetic division ay for linear divisors of the form x minus a. Kasi if it's not the form x minus a, let's say 2x plus 1, kailangan nyo pang gumawa ng konting manipulations para makuha yung tamang quotient. So kapag hindi x minus a, I suggest huwag kayong gumamit ng synthetic division. Ang gamitin nyo ay long division. Hindi kayo magkamali. Okay, pang x minus a lang yung synthetic division. Okay, so for long division, ito yung gagawin nyo. 3x raised to 4 divided by x squared. So leading term divided by the leading term. So that will give you 3x squared. So katulad na sa pagde-divide ng numbers, you multiply this by the divisor. So 3x squared times x squared. So that will give you 3x raised to 4. 3x squared times 1, so 3x squared. So ilagay niyo siya kahilera ng x squared so that it will be easier for you to subtract. So after this, you are going to subtract. So subtract. So ang operation dito ay subtraction. Huwag kayong malito kasi sa synthetic division ay sum. So dito sa long division, it's subtraction. Para maalala nyo kung bakit subtraction, kailangan subtraction class kasi kailangan tayong mag-eliminate ng mga leading terms. Malalaman nyo lang kung tapos na kayo sa long division kapag na-eliminate nyo na, ibig sabihin ng na-eliminate, nababa nyo na lahat ng terms ng dividend. So una nating ibababa ay yung 3x raised to 4. Dahil magsasubtract tayo, mawawala yung 3x raised to 4. And now, doing that, you will have 2x cubed minus 2x squared plus 0x. So nawala na yung first leading term. Ang panibago nating leading term ay 2x cubed. Okay? Okay. So you just do the same. 2x cubed, the new leading term, divided by the leading term of the divisor, which is not changing, x squared. You will have 2x. Then again, multiply this 2x by the divisor. You will have this one, 2x cubed plus 2x. Do subtraction. So dito, natanggal na yung 2x cubed. So wala na to. So again, malalaman nyo lang pagtapos na kayo kapag nababa nyo na lahat ng terms ng dividend. So, You have now 2x squared. So, nandito na tayo sa 2x squared. So, ibig sabihin na sa quadratic term na tayo. Negative 2x squared divided by x squared is negative 2. Multiply again by the divisor and then subtract. Nawala na yung term, quadratic term. So, mawawala na yung quadratic term. So, tanggal na yung quadratic term. Nababa niyo na rin yung linear at yung constant term. However, dito sa part na you can no longer divide because your dividend now has a smaller degree than the divisor. So, you stop the long division and you write the quotient as 3x squared plus 2x minus 2 plus the remainder divided by the divisor. So, that's why you have letter A. Hindi po ba... Okay. So, you have suggestions here like, pwede po ba na i-multiply na lang ang denominator sa numerator na nasa choices? Okay, you can do that. But, kung mas madali yun sa inyo, pwede nyo gawin yun. You can multiply x squared plus 1, but take note, you will be doing this multiplication 4 times. Aswerte kung A talaga yung sagot. Tapos na, no, pag di yung sagot, 4 na beses niyong gagawin ito. I don't know kung that is efficient for you guys. But you can possibly do that, but that will take a very long time, especially pag nasa malayong letter yung sagot. So for this case, pwede kasi letter A agad yung sagot. Makukuha nyo agad. Ang worry ko kapag ganun yung ginawa nyo, what if, okay, you did it with letter A, and somewhere along the way, nagkamali kayo sa inyong expansion. So, inulit nyo siya ng 4 na beses, tapos wala kayo nakuhang sagot. Okay, so, it would be really not efficient for me if you do that. But kapag wala nang choices, and you really want to have an answer, of course, you can do that. You can multiply x squared plus 1 by the quotient here, and add the remainder. Kulang pala yun. After you multiply the denominator, now you don't multiply the numerator with the denominator. You multiply the denominator with the quotient, then you add the remainder in the numerator. That's how you will possibly get this original polynomial 3x raised to 4 plus 2x cubed plus x squared plus 4. Okay? Really, it's not efficient. Even if you do that, it's not efficient. So I suggest you really learn to do long division. Okay, so can we just look at the number without x? What do you mean by that, friends? We can just look at the number without x. Is this for number 8, friends? What? Okay, so again, it's really important that you know long division for these cases, because it's also possible, class, that it's not only degree 4. You might be dealing with polynomials with higher degree. So if you do multiplication all the time, that would be too harsh. Masyadong matabaho. So I think the easier way to do that is really to learn long division. So that's why the answer is letter A. Okay? Okay. I think the fastest way to do this is long division, on the reason that we can't do synthetic division for this item. Okay, so kasi you already know the last numbers of product. Are you suggesting that you'll just check the constant? Pwede naman, yeah, pwede. So, you can just check 1 times negative 2. 1 times negative 2, that's negative 2 plus 6. So, you have 4. So, also, you will get 4 for letter B. So, ang pagpipilian mo na lang ay A or B if you want to do your way, friends. Tama ba? Okay, so pwedeng ganon. So, hopefully ay hopefully ay ma-eliminate mo yung ibang choices if that is the case. Okay, so let's proceed. Okay. Determine all the rational zeros of this polynomial, x raised to 4 plus 2x cubed minus 9x squared minus 2x plus 8. So what you can do here, since hindi tayo nagde-divide, you can do synthetic division. Okay? So kapag zeros na yung hinahanap, you can do synthetic division. But before you do synthetic division, you have to eliminate yung mga hindi posibleng zeros. Kasi take note, there are many numbers that you can possibly try for synthetic division. You want to limit that. At ano ulit yung concept para ma-limit yon? Ano lang yung mga posibleng numbers na pwede niyong i-try as zeros for our polynomial in 9? What is that theorem na gagamitin ninyo? Kasi again, I can try 5, I can try negative 10, negative 1/4, negative 1/2. Pero merong theorem na maglilimit sa inyo para hindi niya itry yung kahit ano-anong numbers. So ano yung theorem that will guide you? What numbers are possible zeros of our polynomial? Remainder theorem? No, that's forgetting the remainder. But we'll deal with that later, yung remainder theorem. P over Q, tama. Or more precisely, that is what you call the rational root theorem. Yes, rational root theorem. That's correct, Janelle. Rational root theorem. So the rational root theorem tells you na yung mga posibleng zeros ng ating polynomial are those of the form P over Q. Ano yung P over Q? Yung P ay positive at negative zeros ng constant. Ang constant natin dito ay 8. Yung Q ay positive at negative zeros ng leading coefficient. Ang leading coefficient ay 1. So, ibig sabihin, kukunin nyo lang lahat ng possible factors ng 8, positive, negative factors ng 8, which is positive, negative 1, 2, 4, at 8. Divided by the possible divisors of 1, which is positive and negative 1. So, ibig sabihin, ang mga posibleng zeros ay positive, negative 1, positive, negative 2, positive, negative 4, at positive, negative 8. So, dyan lang kayo mamimili ng mga posibleng zeros, positive, negative 1, positive, negative 2, positive, negative 8. So, hindi nyo na itatry yung 3, yung 5, yung 1/4, yung 1/2. Kasi sure kayo na hindi yun magiging zeros ng polynomial. Okay. So, you do synthetic division. Let's say, ang tinry nyo ay positive 1. So, kailan nyo malalaman kung 0? Yeah, I guess I need to have some water. Sige nga, paano nyo malalaman kung 0 ang 1? By synthetic division. Anak class. Okay. Paano yung malalaman kung ang 1 ay 0 by using synthetic division? Okay, very good. Sige, salamat. Inom na akong tubig, ha?
Yan, medyo napagod si ma'am kanina. Pahinga lang muna konti. Hintayin lang natin makainom si ma'am saglit. Wala naman, kayo naman. Napagod lang. So, we're at number 9. We might be a little bit delayed sa class natin, but I believe the latter part of the classes is a bit quicker than these early parts. Oh, sino gusto magpa-shout out dyan? Shout out ko na kayo habang wala pa.
Okay.
Ayan, ma'am. Wala na. Okay, sige ma'am.
Hindi nagtuturo, kaya siguro hindi ako sanay na magsalita matagal.
Yes, ma'am. Okay po.
Okay. Pero okay na. Okay na. So, tingnan yung mga sagot ninyo. Okay, so tama yung sagot nyo kanina. So you will know by synthetic division if 1 is a 0, if the remainder is 0. Okay, so got in synthetic division. So the first step is to bring down 1. Tama? Then 1 is 1. Multiply it by 1. So you will have here 1. So ito yung sasabi ko kanina class na difference ng synthetic division at ng long division. So here in the synthetic division, the operation is addition. Okay, sige. So then you just do that repeatedly. So you have 3. Then again, multiply 3 by 1. Put it here. Then you add. And finally, you will have the last result for, after synthetic division to be 0. And this will indicate the remainder. So ibig sabihin, indeed 1 is a 0 of our polynomial. So if that is the case, so alam nyo na si 1 ay 0. So you try again synthetic division with the other values. So try natin na, okay, 2. At dahil tapos na kayo sa synthetic division, ang pwede nyong gamitin ay yung remainder. This 1, 3, negative 6, not the remainder, the quotient. The quotient with coefficients 1, 3, negative 6, at negative 8. Pwedeng yan na yung gawin ninyo. Then after that, you do synthetic division again, and you will see that 2 is a 0. Okay, so pwede daw remainder. Yes, pwede nyong gawing remainder theorem. You have to check that if you substitute each of these values here in our polynomial, you will get a 0 remainder. However, is that efficient? I'm not sure if that's so efficient because you will have to do that. You'll have to evaluate the function values for at most, ilan nga ulit yung posibleng zeros? For at most 8 values. So ulitin nyo yung pagko-compute class for 8 values. But if you're lucky, so pwede nyo makuha yung 4 agad na numbers na magpapa-0 sa remainder. So that's true, you can use remainder theorem. Pero you have to do that for at most 8 times. So here, using synthetic division, we got that 1 is a 0 and 2 is also a 0. Pagdating dito class, take note that our polynomial is degree 4. So here, after the first synthetic division, the quotient is degree 3. After the second synthetic division, minus 1 ulit sa degree. This one is quadratic. Itong quotient dito ay quadratic na ang coefficients ay 1, 5, at 4. Kapag naging quadratic na, you don't have to do synthetic division ulit. Ang pwede niyong gawin is that you just extract that quadratic expression and do factoring para makuha yung last two zeros. So in that case, you have x squared plus 5x plus 4. This is factorable into x plus 1, x plus 4. So that is, the remaining two zeros are negative 1 and negative 4. So that's why, if you collect the other two zeros that we had a while ago, the zeros are 1, 2, negative 1, and negative 4, which is given by letter C. Okay, yeah, if you are more comfortable with using the remainder theorem, that's okay. But for some, mas madali sa kanila yung synthetic division. Okay, so that's one way. You can use remainder theorem. Is it more efficient if we get the product of each of the choices? We know naman na all zeros multiplied will be equal to 8. Yes, you can do that. Tama. Kasi what you're using here, Franz, is factor theorem, right? So using factor theorem, you try to multiply x minus the 0. And if you multiply them, gusto nyo na ang constant ay 8. So ibig sabihin, dapat itong mga to ay mag-multiply sa 8. And the only choice here that will give you a positive 8 as the product of the constants is letter C. That's correct. Yeah, pwede yun. So, paano nakuha yung x squared plus 5x plus 4? Again, after doing the synthetic division, so kapag synthetic division, nagde-divide kayo. So, ibig sabihin nyo, nakukuha nyo dito ay quotient. At kapag sa synthetic division, yung quotient ninyo ay 1 degree lower than the dividend. So, kung ang dividend ay degree 4, after the first synthetic division, the quotient is degree 3. After the second synthetic division, it's degree 2. At itong mga numbers na nandito will be the coefficients of the quadratic quotient. So after that, using 154, so the quotient is x squared plus 5x plus 4. Andito yung 154. So I think that's a lucky guess for dun sa sinabi ni Franz. That's okay. Kasi dito sa problem natin, yung C lang talaga yung nagbibigay ng positive 8. It might be possible that you have other choices in the exam, or pwede lahat ng choices sa exam ay mag-come up sa positive 8 kapag minultiply nyo. So the way to do it really is to do synthetic division. So your technique will vary sa choices at sa question. So, tingnan nyo na lang kung ano yung pinakamadaling gawin. Okay, so here, for number 9, we recalled synthetic division and a little bit of factoring and the idea of zeros. Okay, that's good. If you notice immediately that the product are different, then you can use that technique to find that it's letter C. Okay. Okay. So if it's also possible that the quadratic term is no longer factorable, so you can do quadratic formula. Yes, so if it's not factorable, Carl, you can use the quadratic formula. So yun yung maganda kapag nakarating na kayo sa quadratic na quotient, wag na kayong mag-synthetic division kasi minsan, hindi talaga siya factorable. So ibig sabihin, mahirap siyang gawin ng synthetic division. Kasi in that case, pwedeng imaginary na yung mga zeros. Imposibleng makuha nyo yung zeros gamit yung synthetic division. So kapag quadratic na, proceed to factoring. If factoring is not possible, proceed to quadratic formula. Okay, so you adjust your techniques depending on the choices of the problem. So whatever is efficient, you do that. Okay, that's good, friends. Thank you for that suggestion. Okay, shall we proceed? So now, let's have polynomial functions. So dito natin, so this one, so just recall remainder theorem. So you don't have to do long division or synthetic division if you want to get the remainder of a polynomial being divided by x minus a. If you want to get the remainder, you simply substitute a to the polynomial. And you define 0 of a polynomial if the remainder is 0, or if p of a is 0 using the remainder theorem. And for the factor theorem, gagamitin natin to in the next item. So we say that if a is a 0 of the polynomial, then x minus a is a factor of the polynomial. So for example, if 2 is a 0, then x minus 2 is a factor of the polynomial. Okay? So ganun lang yung idea ng factor theorem. So by the way, pag sinabi nating factor, those are terms that will divide the polynomial. Ibig sabihin ng divide, kapag dinivide mo si polynomial ng divisor na yon, ang remainder ay 0. So for example, kapag 6, ang factors niya ay 1, positive, negative 1, positive, negative 2, 3, at 6. Kasi pag dinivide mo si 6 with those numbers, you will get a 0 remainder. So ganun din yung idea pagdating sa polynomials. So here, so find the polynomial of minimum degree with zeros, 0, 1 minus 2i, and 1. So anong gagawin natin dito? We will use factor theorem. So pag sinabi natin factor theorem, kapag si 0 ay 0, ano yung corresponding factor? Ang corresponding factor niya ay x or x minus 0. So similarly, using factor theorem, so again ha, kapag si a ay 0, this implies that x minus a is a factor. So doing that for each of these 3 zeros, so x minus 1 plus 2i, x minus 1 minus 2i are factors. So para makuha natin yung polynomial using these factors, we simply multiply these 3. So pag minultiply natin sila, okay. So paano natin to i-multiply ng mas mabilis? So we'll start with these 2 trinomials. Now, can you tell me kung anong special product ito? So, ano special product ito? Pag multiply natin ng dalawang trinomials, anong pwede natin gamitin? Okay, so this will give you difference of 2 squares. So, very good. So, this will give us difference of 2 squares. And take note, ang difference of 2 squares ay a minus b times a plus b is equal to a squared minus b squared. So in that case, ang a natin dito ay x minus 1, ang b natin ay 2i. So kapag ginawa natin yun, so you will have x times the product x minus 1 squared, that is your a squared, at minus 4i squared, that's your b squared. Okay? So, simplify lang natin. By the way, ang I squared is the imaginary number I is an imaginary number such that ang I squared ay negative 1. So if you do that, you have x squared minus 2x plus 1 minus 4 times negative 1, kaya ito ay positive 4. Okay? So ibig sabihin nun, if you distribute, you will have x cubed minus 2x squared plus 5x as the polynomial as a number 10. Do you have questions? Okay, is this clear? Okay, so ang idea lang dito, class, ay paggamit ng factor theorem. That is, if you have a 0, how can you get the factor, the corresponding factor? So you simply just x minus the 0. So yun lang. That's why here you have x, kasi x minus 0, then x minus 1 plus 2i, corresponding to 1 minus 2i. And x minus 1 minus 2i corresponding to 1 plus 2i. Okay, and after getting all these factors, just multiply them. And you can do FOIL method here, but ang pinakamadali ay difference of two squares. So that's why we got x squared minus 2x plus 5 for the product of the two trinomials. Then finally, i-multiply natin to sa x. So that's why we got x cubed minus 2x squared plus 5x. Paano nakuha yung negative 2x? Dito yan sa square of x minus 1. Here. Kasi if you get the square of x minus 1 is x squared minus 2x plus 1, it's not x squared minus 1. Okay? I hope you remember that. It's not x squared minus 1. Okay, is that clear? Did the answer? Is that clear? Raisa, is that okay? It's from the square of x squared minus. It's from the square of x minus 1. Okay, that's good. So again, recall your factor theorem and just simply multiplication. If you forgot your special products, don't worry, just do FOIL method. It will take you much time, but you will get the answer anyway if you did the FOIL method in a correct manner. Okay, paano po nalalaman yung factors? Okay, so you use factor theorem. So here, so ulitin natin dito ha. If you know a 0, if a is a 0, x minus a is a factor. This is how we got the factors. Is it okay, Arjun? Okay na? Yes, pwede mag-FOIL method, Micaela, if you forgot your special products. You will still arrive to x squared minus 2x plus 1 plus 4, or x squared minus 2x plus 5. Okay, sige, let's proceed. Kasi medyo malapit na mag-time. Okay, let's proceed to rational functions. So rational functions simply are ratio of two polynomial functions. So ang restriction lang dito sa rational functions is that the denominator should not be 0. Otherwise, your function will be undefined. Okay, So if you are dealing with rational functions, may encounter niyo yung concept ng asymptotes. So you have two, vertical asymptotes or horizontal asymptotes. Okay, let's make it quick. Kapag vertical asymptotes, these are vertical lines, of course, kasi vertical asymptotes. So it is of the form x equals a. Ganito yung form kapag vertical asymptote. Kasi diba pag x equals a number, that's a vertical line. So paano malalaman yung a? Yung a ay magpapa-zero sa denominator given that your rational function is in lowest term. Okay, so that's how you find the vertical asymptote. You have to verify that your rational function is in lowest term. Find those values that will make the denominator 0. Form the equation x equals a. And that will give you vertical asymptotes. Ibig sabihin ng vertical asymptotes, di ba kung nasa mga meme yun, na kapag vertical asymptotes, lalapit yung graph doon sa asymptote, but will not reach that asymptote. Ibig sabihin kasi nun, kaya hindi niya nare-reach kasi bawal. So, ibig sabihin ng vertical asymptote, ito yung mga bawal na values ng x. Okay, so pag inisip niyo yung vertical asymptotes, anong mga values ng x ang hindi pwede? Kasi it will make your function undefined. So kapag naman horizontal asymptote, it will have to do with the degree of the rational, the degree of the polynomials in the numerator and denominator. So kapag the degree of the numerator, sisuot natin dito just to summarize. Kapag ang degree ng numerator is less than the degree of the denominator, the horizontal asymptote is automatically y equals 0. So pwede maging close. Yes, it will really get close and close to the asymptote, but the graph will never touch the asymptote kasi bawal. Ibig sabihin nun, bawal siya ng value ng x or bawal siya ng value ng y. So if the degree of the numerator is the same as the degree of the denominator, the horizontal asymptote is the ratio of the leading coefficients. And lastly, kapag ang degree ng numerator ay mas malaki sa degree ng denominator, it's the time na magkakaroon kayo ng oblique asymptote. Okay, let's try. So which of the following has an oblique asymptote? So sabi natin kanina, magkakaroon ng oblique asymptote kapag ang degree ng numerator ay mas malaki sa degree ng denominator. So dito sa apat na choices, posible lang yan sa letter. Okay, sa letter D. No, Raymond, hindi sila pinagtagpo. They never met yung asymptote at yung graph. Okay, so for that, number 11 is letter D. Okay, no question for that, I guess. So let's proceed to number 12. So which of the following functions has the graph? So titingnan natin ito gamit yung asymptotes. So dito sa graph, ang ating vertical asymptote ay x equals 4. Tama? At ang ating horizontal asymptote ay y equals, what's this? 3. Yeah, y equals 3. So titingnan natin sa mga equations natin dito, sa A, B, C, and D, kung alin dyan ang merong vertical asymptote na x equals 4, at horizontal asymptote na y equals 3. Okay, so ang vertical asymptote ay x equals 4. Ibig sabihin, alin dyan sa mga choices natin ang magzi-zero ang denominator sa x equals 4 kasi bawal sa x equals 4. Unfortunately, lahat ng choices natin hindi pwede sa x equals 4. So, hindi nakakatulong yung x equals 4 sa pagsagot natin. So, ang gagamitin natin ay horizontal asymptote. So, titingnan natin sa mga choices natin dito, alin dito ang may horizontal asymptote na y equals 3. So, balikan natin yung kanina. Ano ang horizontal asymptote ng letter A? So, sa tingin nyo, ano ang horizontal asymptote ng letter A? Kasi linear over linear. So, ratio ng leading coefficients. So, ano kaya ang horizontal asymptote ng letter A? Negative 3. So, mali yun ha. Kasi dapat siya ay y equals negative 3. The asymptote should be an equation of the line. So, more specifically, an equation of a horizontal line. So, it should be, okay, y equals negative 3. Yung letter B, mali yung negative 3 ha. It should be y equals negative 3. Kasi ang asymptotes natin ay lines. So, you should give equations of a line. Okay, tama, Royce. Sa letter C, so alam na natin ang sagot ay letter B, no? Sa letter C, ang horizontal asymptote ay y equals 0 kasi ang numerator ay degree 0, ang denominator ay degree 2. Kaya siya y equals 0. Ganon din sa letter D. Dito naman sa letter B, parehong linear yung denominator at numerator. So ratio lang ng leading coefficients. Therefore, the horizontal asymptote is y equals 3. So indeed, the rational function that we're looking for is letter B. Questions? Is this clear? You have questions? So again, if you're talking about vertical asymptotes, titingnan nyo magpapa-0 sa denominator. Okay? Okay, sige. Ulitin natin ng mabilis. In our graph, we are given vertical asymptote x equals 4 and horizontal asymptote y equals 3. So we need to find which among these equations here will give us vertical asymptote x equals 4 and horizontal asymptote y equals 3. Kaya lang, kapag x equals 4 ang vertical asymptote, ibig sabihin nun magzi-0 ang denominator sa 4. Lahat ng choices natin, magzi-0 ang denominator sa 4. So, hindi nakakatulong. So, proceed tayo sa pagtingin ng horizontal asymptote, y equals 3. So, isa-isahin natin. Dito sa letter A, ang horizontal asymptote ay y equals negative 3. Bakit? The numerator is linear, the denominator is linear, ibig sabihin pareho siya ng degree, parehong degree 1. So, sabi kanina sa discussion natin, kapag pareho yung degree, pag the same, the horizontal asymptote is y equals the ratio of the leading coefficients. Okay? Kaya ito ay, nakuha natin na ang asymptote ng letter A ay y equals negative 3. Itong negative 3 ay negative 3 over 1. Okay na, Amethyst? Oh yes, tama si Carl. Sa letter B naman, the leading coefficient is 3 over 1. The leading coefficients are 3 and 1. So if you get the ratio, you get positive 3. At bakit letter B yung sagot? Kasi sa letter B, ang horizontal asymptote nitong function na to ay y equals 3. Eh yung graph natin, ang sinasabi niya, dapat ang horizontal asymptote ay y equals 3. So that's why ang sagot ay letter B. Okay? Okay. So again, sa letter C at D, ang horizontal asymptotes ay y equals 0 kasi mas maliit yung degree ng numerator sa degree ng denominator. Okay, let's now proceed to exponential functions. Sir, could we extend a little bit just to cover yung nawala ako kanina? Okay, so for number 11, it's letter D. For number 12, it's B. Shall we proceed now with transcendental functions? Specifically on exponential and logarithmic functions. It's almost 4. I hope it's okay if you stay, kasi we'll still discuss many topics. Yeah, kasi nawala ako kanina. So I think, if you can stay, please stay. Okay, para ma-discuss na, para makasama rin kayo sa discussion ng ibang topics. Okay, let's proceed to exponential and logarithmic functions. The first one, the exponential function. This is of the form f of x equals b to the x. By the way, class, hindi porket may exponent, exponential na agad yung function. So for example, if you have, let's say if you have f of x equals x squared, ito ay may exponent na 2. So itong function na to, hindi to exponential. Kailan lang magiging exponential? Magiging exponential kapag ang exponent ay merong variable, or yung variable natin, yung independent variable, ay nasa exponent. Okay? So, hindi porket may exponent, exponential na agad. So, magiging exponential yung function kapag ang nasa exponent, ang ating variable ay nasa exponent. So, this one is not an exponential function. Ito ay polynomial, specifically a quadratic function. So, for example, ang mga example ng exponential functions ay f of x equals 2 to the x. Nasa exponent ang ating variable x. So, this time, it is an exponential function. Okay, so b and x are real numbers. The base should be greater than 0, and it should not be equal to 1. Kasi kapag si b ay naging equal to 1, for any value of x, the answer is 1. So, yun ay constant function na, hindi na yun magiging exponential. So, again ha, yun yung reason kung bakit we can't have the base to be 1. Because if the base is 1, the function value will always be positive 1 for any value of x. So, in that case, kapag the function value is 1, it will become a constant function. So again, as I've said, the logarithmic function is the inverse of the exponential function. It is of the form logarithm to the base b of x. Just be careful for the exponential functions. We have no restriction for the value of x. However, pagdating sa logarithmic function, we have to make sure that x, which we call as the argument, x should be positive, always positive. Okay? So, yun yung restrictions natin. For exponential function, no restriction for the value of x. For the logarithmic function, you have a restriction for x. You should always be positive. So, since sinabi natin kanina na inverse ng isa't isa, so you can transform exponential to logarithmic and vice versa. So, using this transformation, kapag galing ka sa exponential na x equals b to the y, masusulat mo to in terms of the logarithmic form in this manner. So kapag pagdating sa logarithmic form, you have the term logarithm or log to indicate that you are in the logarithmic form. The base of the exponential will always be the base of the logarithm at mag-iiba lang ng kasama yung x. Okay? So ganun yung mag-transform from exponential to logarithm. So the base of the exponential will be the same base of the logarithmic expression at mag-iiba lang yung kasama ng b. Instead na x na y dito, sa pagdating sa logarithm, it will be x. So for example, suppose I have the equation 2 to the x, let's say 2 to the x equals 3. O paano ko ito itatransform in terms of logarithm? Anyone? So I have the equation 2 to the x equals 3. What is this in logarithmic form? So the base is 2. Then you have to have the word log. And then you exchange the positions of x and y. So what will that be in terms of logarithmic form? 2 cubed equals x. I think you forgot the term logarithm. It should be logarithm to the base 2 of the good. So the transformed case would be x equals logarithm, the base is 2, at ang kasama na ngayon ng base 2 ay 3. So in this case, class, dito nyo makikita na ang value pala ng x para maging totoo itong equation na to ay logarithm of 3 to the base 2. So this is exactly the technique that we're going to use kapag nagko-compute kayo ng solutions ng exponential equations. Gagamit kayo ng transformations. So let's have number 3, another transformation exercise. However, ang problem dito ay ln. So, ano ibig sabihin ng ln? So anyone? What do you mean by ln? Tama. So it's logarithm to the base e, where e is your Euler's number. It's approximately 2.7172. So pag sinabi mong ln of x plus 2, ang ibig sabihin nito ay logarithm to the base e of x plus 2. And this is equal to 3. So kaya dito, pwede na tayo mag-transform. Kaya ang transformation dito, class, ay mula logarithm papuntang exponential. So, ibig sabihin, dapat nawawala na yung term na logarithm. So, the base of the logarithm is e. That will also be the base of the exponential. However, mag-iiba ng kasama yung base e. So, that will give you e raised to 3 equal to x plus 2. So, that is letter B. Yes, that's correct. If you have a logarithm to the base e, it's called the natural logarithm. Okay, so for number 13, it's letter B. Okay. Oh, no. One thing. What if I have logarithm of x? I cannot see the base. Anong ibig sabihin nun? Anong base nun kapag logarithm of x? You cannot see the base. What is the base in that case? Very good. So, tama si Christian, Kyla, Audric. If you have logarithm of x, it seems that you cannot see the base. That means the base is 10, and that is what you call the common logarithm. So, ln, base ay e. Kapag common logarithm, the base is 10. Okay, very good. Still remember your intermediate algebra. Okay, now let's have some operations on logarithmic terms. So you have the product rule, the quotient rule, and the power rule. For the product rule, ang isasabi lang nito that if you have a logarithm of a product, it is not the product of the individual logarithms, but rather it is the sum of the individual logarithms. Okay? Then if you have the logarithm of a quotient, it will be the difference of the individual logarithms. And the power rule tells you that if p is the exponent of the argument m, you can bring down p as the coefficient of the logarithmic term. Just be careful sa power rule, kasi sa power rule, if you have logarithm to the base b of m, all raised to p, you cannot use here the power rule. So this is not equal to p logarithm of m to the base b. So okay, again, so be careful sa paggamit ng power rule. Pwede nyo lang ibaba si power p kapag si p ay exponent ng argument m. But if p is the exponent of the entire logarithm, you cannot do that. Okay, that is not power rule. Wala tayong formula for that. So the power rule only works if the exponent is the exponent of the argument. So remember your product rule, quotient rule, and power rule. Okay, so let's have one-to-one properties of exponential and logarithmic functions. Gagamitin natin to sa pag-compute ng solutions. So for the case of exponential function, if you have two terms, one term in their left-hand side, one term on the right-hand side, and both of them have equal bases b, it means that the exponents are equal. For the case of logarithm, if you have two logarithmic terms that are equal with the same base, that would mean that your arguments m and n are also equal. So, pwede yung gawin yung class that you will see later in our next item. So, the thing is, you try na yung terms ay magiging pareho ng base. And you just simply equate the exponents. Okay, tingnan natin dito. So let's apply one-to-one property to answer number 14. So is it possible na masulat natin yung left-hand side at right-hand side ng parehong base? And if it's possible, ano yung base? Okay, so if it's possible to write the two terms of the same base, obviously ang base natin ay 10. Kasi itong 100, pwede niyong isulat na 10 squared. Tama no? So 10 squared raised to x. At kung maalala nyo on laws of exponents, kapag if you have a term raised to another exponent, you multiply the two numbers. So this is equal to 10 raised to 2x. So ngayon, yung nasa left-hand side na 10 raised to x squared minus 8 ay equal sa 10 raised to 2x. Pareho sila ng base. Pag pareho sila ng base by the one-to-one property, pwede niyong i-equate yung exponents. So that would mean x squared minus 8 is equal to 2x. Then you just compute for the values of x by factoring, and that will give you negative 2 and 4. So therefore, answer is letter C. Tama na. So kapag hindi niyo ito maalala, class, ang pwede niyong gawin, itry yung mga values, alin doon na magsasatisfy sa equation. Kaya lang medyo matabaho kasi ang dami-dami niyong itatry na values. And so hindi siya magiging efficient, but that is one way that you can use. You can try the values of x here in the choices at tingnan niyo kung alin doon yung magsasatisfy sa equation. Okay. So that's using one-to-one property for exponential functions. Now, let's solve for number 15. So you have here a logarithmic equation. Hindi natin nakikita yung base, pero napag-usapan natin kanina that the base of this logarithmic terms are 10. So common logarithm. So the first step is to combine these two logarithm as a single logarithm term. So ang goal natin ay masulat ito as a single logarithm. But since naka-plus to, gagamit tayo ng product rule. So kapag product rule, ibig sabihin nun, we have logarithm of the product of 2x minus 5, x minus 3 equal to 1. Sige, bago tayo mag-proceed, I want to verify kung may tanong kayo dito sa step na to, na pinag-combine natin yung dalawang logarithm as a single logarithm. Is this clear? So we just use product rule. So galing sa expanded, gagawin natin siyang single logarithm by product rule. Okay, yes, you can write 1 as log 10. Pwede yun. Yes, you can do that. Then after that, i-transform. Again ha, remember that the base is 10. So lagyan natin dito ng 10 para may guide kayo sa transformation. So if we transform this one to exponential form, this will be 10 raised to 1 equal to the argument 2x minus 5 times x minus 3. So right? So base raised to 1 That's why you have 10 here, equal to the argument 2x minus 5 equals times x minus 3 rather. So nung ginawa natin siya exponential form, good thing, hindi na siya exponential kasi ito ay quadratic na polynomial. So you just expand and simplify. Then finally, you will have the polynomial 2x squared minus 11x plus 5. Then you do factoring. So finally, you will get the values of x, 1/2, and 5. So ibig sabihin ba nito, ang sagot ay letter C? Letter C ba yung mga sagot nyo? X is 1/2 and 5. Or are we forgetting something? A dapat. Tama. Okay, tama si Christian. A dapat kasi let's recall na kapag logarithmic expressions, dapat yung value ng x ay laging positive. Hindi yung value ng x na nakuha natin ha. Yung argument dapat lagi ay positive. Magiging undefined yung logarithm kapag yung kinukuhanan mo ng logarithm ay negative. Unfortunately, kapag si x ay 1/2, ang 2x minus 5 ay magiging negative 4. Hindi pwede yun kasi ang logarithm ng negative 4 ay undefined kasi dapat ang kinukuhanan mo ng logarithm ay positive lang. Kaya ang sagot dito, hindi kasama si 1/2, ang sagot lang ay 5. That's why it's correct. It should be letter A. Yes, tama si Ralph. Ang 1/2 ay extraneous solution kasi we got 1/2 from our solutions but it will not satisfy our original equation. So is this clear? Kaya sa kanina sa exponential, kung maalala nyo, sabi natin walang restriction sa values ng x. Pagdating sa logarithm, meron x, the argument x should always be positive. Okay, so it's clear. Sige, summarize natin ulit ha. Ang ginawa natin, 3 steps lang. We write the left-hand side as a single logarithm. We transformed into exponential form. Kaya nakakuha tayo ng quadratic, this one of this form. Then finally, we did some manipulations and factoring. We arrived to 1/2 and 5. Pero si 1/2, it will make our argument negative. That's why it's an extraneous solution. So therefore, the only solution is 5. So we have letter A as our answer. Okay, so paano nakuha yung 10? As you can see here, you cannot see the base, right? So sabi natin kanina, if you can't see the base, it means that the base is 10. That's why I wrote here 10. This one. This is the common logarithm. The base is 10. So if you transform to exponential, you will have 10 raised to 1. And that is equal to 10. So that's why you have 10 on the other side of the equation. So, okay, I hope that's clear. So that's coming from the base of the logarithm, which is base 10. Okay, here's number 16. We solve for x in the equation 5 times quantity 2 to the x equals 25. So the first thing that we need to do is to divide both sides of the equation by 5. So that would mean you have 2 to the x equals 5. So, ano yung value ng x? So, sabi sa example natin kanina, to find the value of x, there's no other way but to do transformation. So, if you transform to logarithmic form, this is x equals logarithm to the base 2 of 5. Ang problema, wala sa choices natin yung logarithm of 5 to the base 2. Okay, sige. So, here, nakuha nating value ng x ay logarithm to the base 5 of 2. However, in our choices, walang ganun value ng x. So what can we do is to use the concept of change of base. So ito yung change of base formula. That means, if you want to change from one base to any other base, you just use this change of base formula. So for example, galing ka sa base B, gusto mong pumunta sa base A. Ang pwede mong gawin, just get the ratio of the logarithm of the argument to the new base and logarithm of b, the old base, to the new base a. So, ibig sabihin, sa choices natin, ang mga bases ay 10. So, our goal is to write logarithm of 5 to the base 2 into base 10. So, ibig sabihin, we'll use this formulation, this one. So, this is simply logarithm of 5 over logarithm of 2. That's why it's letter C. Okay? So, ang ginawa natin dito ay divide both sides by the equation by 5, transform to get the value of x. But since our choices doesn't have that value, you have to implore some change of base formula to change the logarithm to the base 2 into logarithm of base 10. So that's why you have log 5 over log 2. Okay? Okay. So this is recalling change of base formula. So for number 17, ay nasaan na tayo? Arithmetic sequence. Can someone tell me ano yung characteristic ng isang arithmetic sequence? How do you know that a sequence is arithmetic? So Mark, so yes, you can do, so sige, balik mo tayo ng saglit lang. So just to answer Mark's question, can we have x log 2 equals log 5? Yes, you can do that. Then finally, you divide both sides by log 2, you will get letter C. Okay. So to answer number 17, so tama yun, may common difference. Ibig sabihin, you will get the next term by adding a common difference or a constant to the preceding term. So dapat yung ina-add ninyo ay hindi nagbabago. It should be a constant. So here for number 17, you have an arithmetic sequence. And the 5th term is 13. The 17th term is 37. So bilisan natin to. Ang pinakamadaling gawin dito, class, is to verify which among these sequences will give you the fifth term as 13, or n equals 5 is 13, and if n equals 7, the resulting term is 37. So check natin sa 5th term is equal to 13. Sa letter A, if you have n equals 5, that would be negative 3, hindi 13. So that's the reason why letter A is not an answer. For letter B, if n is equal to 5, A sub 5 is equal to 10 minus 7, positive 3. So hindi rin kasi ang hinahanap natin ay 13. Yung letter C, kapag si A ay 5, ang A sub 5 ay 13. So baka si C yung sagot. And for letter D, if n is 5, A sub n is equal to 3 minus 10, that's negative 7. So hindi rin ito. Okay? So that's why this is the fastest way of checking which among your sequence will satisfy the given information. So only letter C will give you the 5th term equal to 13. So paano nalalaman? If you have the 5th term, you use n equals 5. And the corresponding answer should be 13. So that's why for number 17, the correct answer is letter C. But the long method ay gagamit kayo ng formula ng arithmetic sequence. This formula tells you that A sub n is equal to A sub 1, the first term, plus n minus 1 times D. So ang ginawa dito, class, is that I'll just do it in a very fast manner. So you use the given. A sub 5 is 13. A sub 17 is 37. So you will have two equations with two unknowns, A sub 1 and D. So just using elimination, makukuha niyo yung value ng D na 2. So the second thing that you will have to compute is A sub 1. So simply substitute 2 in the first equation. Ito. Substitute niyo yung D equals to dito sa first equation. Makukuha niyo yung A sub 1 na equal to 5. So that's why, using the formula for the nth term, it's 2n plus 3. Pero again, ang pinakamadali ay substitute 5. Then you check kung alin doon yung mag-yield ng 13. Yun yung pinakamadaling way para malaman yung sagot sa number 17. Kapag naman hindi nyo ma-eliminate lahat, then you use the other given. You use n equals 17 at tingnan nyo alin doon ang mag-yield ng 37. Okay? So that's the fastest way to do that. The long way is to get a sub 1 and the common difference D. The fastest one is through substitution. So tama yun is just substitute 5 sa n and then you're good to go. You're able to find that the answer is letter C. Okay, so let's proceed to number 18. So sa number 18, you have now a geometric sequence, 2,500, negative 500, and so on. So compared to arithmetic sequence and geometric sequence, you have a common ratio. You get the next term by multiplying a constant to the preceding term. So here, we're looking for the 7th term. So the formula for finding the 7th term of a geometric sequence is a sub 1, the first term, which is 2,500, times the common ratio r raised to n minus 1. Since we're looking for the 7th term, n is equal to 7. So ang tanong ngayon, ano yung r? Ano yung minumultiply natin every time para makuha yung next term? So 2,500, ano yung minultiply natin sa 2,500 para makakuha tayo ng negative 500? So you do the opposite operation, we divide. So negative 500 divided by 2,500. So that's your R, which is negative 1/5. Correct. Very good. So negative 1/5. So you multiply negative 1/5 every time. So pwede nyo rin namang i-check kapag nag-multiply kayo ng negative 1/5 sa 2,500, ang makukuha nyo ay negative 500. So using this information, a sub 7 is 2,500 times negative 1/5 raised to 6. So kailangan lang nating i-simplify ito. Okay, so let's do some simplifications kasi walang calculus sa exam. So 2,500 is 25 times 100. Tama? Which is 25 times 25 times 4. So this is 5 raised to 4 times 4. So ang 2,500 ay 5 raised to 4 times 4. Ang negative 1/5 raised to 6 ay equal lang sa 1/5 raised to 6 because your exponent is even. So magiging positive. So that's why you have this simplified version. Then you do cancellation. And finally, you will have 4 over 5 squared or 4 over 25. Bakit naging ganon? Because you will have 4 times 5 raised to 4 all over 5 raised to 6. So cancel. Ang matitira na lang ay 5 squared. So that's why you have 4 over 25 or letter B. Correct. Dali lang tana. Okay, so this is just your geometric sequence. You just have to remember the formula in finding the nth term of a geometric sequence. Okay, number 19. Evaluate the geometric series 1 plus 2/3 plus 4 over 9 plus 8 over 27. This is an infinite sum. But there is a formula for evaluating the infinite sum of a geometric series. And the formula is a sub 1 over 1 minus r. And this is only true if the value of r is between negative 1 and 1. Pero luckily, dito sa ating geometric series, what is the value of r? So what is the value of r here? The first term is 1. The second term is 2/3. So obviously, the value of r is 2/3. Tama no? Okay, the value of r is 2/3. So using that, the infinite sum is equal to 1 over 1 minus 2/3, so that is equal to 3. Actually, class, this is one of the many paradoxes in mathematics. Kasi you imagine, you are adding infinitely many numbers, and yet you arrive to a constant 3. Isn't that exciting? Diba? You are adding infinitely many numbers, and then you come up with 3, a constant 3, which is not infinite. And there are many approaches para ma-prove ito. So you can use geometry, or you can use calculus. So maybe pagdating niyo sa college, you will learn, why is this true? Why is this happening? Yeah, so you will have the concept of limits. And again, you can use geometry para ma-prove ito. But this is true. So this is a paradox. So you're adding infinitely many numbers, but you come up with a single constant number, 3. Which makes math really exciting. Don't you agree? No? Well, there you go. You have your answer 3, which is letter B for number 19. Okay, this one, we don't have to solve for anything. Which of the following equations represent a hyperbola? So you just have to recall your conic sections. So you just have to know the standard form of a hyperbola. Sabihin ko na. Okay. So the answer here is letter B. You will have a parabola if both variables x and y are quadratic, and one is positive, one is negative. Okay? Kapag parehong positive, like in letter A, it's an ellipse. So yung letter A ay ellipse. Parehong positive, parehong quadratic, parehong positive ellipse. Parehong quadratic, isa positive, isang negative. This is a hyperbola. This one is an ellipse as well, more specifically, a circle. And finally, yung isa ay linear, yung isa ay quadratic, so this is a parabola. Okay? Both quadratic, both positive ellipse, both quadratic, one is negative, one positive hyperbola. And one quadratic, one linear, that's a parabola. That's why for 20, it's letter B. You should have taken this during your grade 10, I guess. You discussed conic sections in grade 10. So, paano naging circle ang letter C? Letter C is the standard equation of a circle with center at the origin and with radius 5. Ang pinagkaiba ng hyperbola sa parabola, ang hyperbola, yung variable x and y, parehong quadratic. Pag parabola, isa lang sa kanila ang quadratic, yung isa ay linear. So, wala kayong pre-cal. So, just remember what I said. Kapag parehong positive, parehong quadratic, I think this is the 4th time I said this, ellipse yun. Also, circle is an ellipse. It's a specific type of an ellipse. So, you just can say it's an ellipse. Letter B. For letter B, parehong quadratic is opposite signs, hyperbola. Isa lang yung quadratic, ang isa ay linear, that's a parabola. So, just have to remember those concepts. Okay, let's go to your elementary statistics. Number 1 is in measures of variability. Measures of the variability measure how dispersed your data is. So, some of the measures of variability includes your range and your variance. So, pag sinabing range, very simple. Highest minus lowest. Pag variance is just average squared deviations from the mean. Specifically, this is the formula for the variance. You did this, I know, you did this in STAT. Okay, and if you have the variance, the standard deviation is simply the square root of the variance. So remember the formula for the variance, you have the summation of the square of x minus mu. Mu is the mean. So the first thing that you need to compute is the mean. Then after getting the sum, divide all of those by the total number of data points, capital N. Then natin dito. So what is the variance of the data set 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17? As I said, you first have to compute for the mean. Pag mean, average lang yun. So just get the sum, divide by 7, and you will have 11. Tama no? Madali lang naman to. 11, that's your mean. Pagdating sa variance class, kung maalala nyo, gumagawa kayo ng table dati. Meron kayong x minus mu, tapos x minus mu squared. So, gawin din natin dito. So, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17. Oopsie. Basta may 17 siya. Okay, then x minus mu, so just get the difference with the mean. So this is -6, -4, -2, 0, 2, 4. Lastly is 6. Tama? Then get the square, 36, 16, 4, 0, 4, 16, 36. Then add these terms here. Pwede nga class, ang i-add niya ito na lang. Then i-times 2 nyo na lang kasi pareho lang naman yung term sa baba. So 36 plus 16 is 52 plus 4. What's that? 56. 56 times 2, that's 112. So the sum is 112. I-divide nyo lang sa total number of data points, which is 7. And 112 over 7 is equal to 16. Yeah. May shortcut sa cycle, yes, but pagdating sa exam, walang cycle. Sorry, walang cycle sa exam. So ito yung pinakamadaling way. Pa hindi kayo malito, put in a column the values of x, then get x minus mu. Mu is the mean. Get the square of the second column, then i-add nyo lang sila. Pagkatapos yung makuha yung sum, i-divide sa 7, then you get 16. So that's why for number 21, it's letter D, 16. Yes, cycle is life sa stat. Kahit naman pag kumuha kayo ng stat dito sa college, you will have a calculator. Unfortunately, sa exam, no, you can't use a calculator. So you really have to remember the formula for the variance. Ano, tandaan nyo lang to class, oh. X minus mu squared. Tapos na. So, paano malalaman? Well, for the case of exam, like this one, if it's not mentioned that it's not a sample, ang assumption lagi ay kapag walang sinabi, it's a population data. So you have to use the formula for the population variance. Unless it was stated that the data comes from a sample, then you have to use the formula for the sample variance. By the way, yung sample variance is not so different. Instead na n, it's n minus 1. Okay, just like that. Kapag sample, instead na capital N, it should be small n minus 1, where n is the number of samples. But if it's not indicated, it's always assumed that the data is coming from a population. Okay, so number 21 is letter D. Okay, we're now on the last 3, which is on counting techniques. Ito yung pinaka-fun na part sa stat kasi you will be thinking. You will be doing some analysis to find. knowing the formula is not enough. You have to think about how to solve the problem. Yes, it's okay not to compute for x minus mean. Just get the square right away. It's okay. N minus 1 yung nasa baba if you're solving for the sample variance. But as I've said, if it's not indicated that the data is coming from a sample, it's assumed that it's a population data. So that's why the denominator is N, capital N. Number 21 is D. Okay, let's proceed to counting techniques. So number 1 is the basic counting principle. We also call this one the multiplication principle. Okay, so just to answer quickly Christine's question, pagkakaiba ng sample sa population is that if you consider the population, you're considering the entire universe. But if you think of a sample, it's just a subset of the population. For example, if you talk about the population in the Philippine setting, then you're talking about all people in the Philippines. But if you talk about a sample, then you just get a few number of people in that population, and that you will consider that a sample. So kapag population, lahat. Kapag sample, hindi lahat. As simple as that. Okay, so population is the entire universe, or all the elements in the universe that we're talking about. So if it's a country, all the people in that country. But for a sample, it's just a subset of those people. Okay, so I hope that's clear, Denise. I hope that's clear. Okay, so let's proceed to counting techniques. So again, for basic counting principle, you use this one if you are getting the total number of ways na yung experiment mo ay composed of several other things. Like you have step 1, step 2, step 3, or you are doing simultaneous events. If that is the case, you are using basic counting principle. Now, for example, class, meron kayong 10 tops, let's say blouse, at meron kayong 5 pants. So the total number of ways that you can find an attire using those blouses and pants is 10 times 5, which is 50. Because you're doing it simultaneously or in a sequential manner. So you're to use the basic counting principle. So you just multiply the total number of ways of doing each of the event. Then for permutation and combination, this is involving arrangement. So yun yung dapat itanong nyo sarili nyo, may arrangement ba nagaganap? If that's the case, then you can use permutation and combination. The difference is that kapag permutation, ordering is important. So yun lang kailangan tandaan, ordering is important. Kapag combination, it's an arrangement, but ordering is not important. So another way of viewing combination, it's just choosing. So mamimili ka. And it doesn't matter kung sino yung una or ikalawang mapili. Ang mahalaga lang ay sino yung mga napili. Okay, so permutation order is important. Combination ordering is not important. Now let's go to the formulas. So pagdating sa permutation, if you are to arrange all objects, all n objects, the total number of arrangements is n factorial. You know n factorial, right? I hope you know n factorial. So this is simply the product of 1, 2, up to n. So that's n factorial. Now, paano kapag hindi lahat? Let's say, pipili lang kayo ng ilang objects tapos i-arrange nyo. Let's say, pa-picture kayo pero hindi kayo isasama. For example, out of n, r lang yung sasama sa picture. So you choose r, then you arrange them. The total number of arrangements would be n factorial over n minus r factorial. Okay? Sige, kapag lahat n factorial, kapag hindi lahat NPR or n factorial over n minus r factorial.
So yung mga nag-statistics sa inyo, tinuruan kayo sa calculator nito. However, you have to do this manually in the UPCAT. Ito lang ang mabibigay ko sa inyo na assurance. In the UPCAT, the numbers will never be too high. Okay? Ang magiging case lang dito, the problems will be word problem types. Alright? So, hindi kayo masyado magkakaroon ng problema. For example, the next one is an actual item na lumabas sa UPCAT. Ay, sorry. Yung first item natin, ano? Pero, pasok muna tayo dito. Combination. The number of possible arrangements without consideration to the order of things in arrangement. The formula is given by n combination r, which is n factorial over r factorial times n minus r factorial. Okay pa ba tayo? So, here is the question on your intermediate algebra. Siblings are planning their father's 65th birthday dinner and have to select one of 4 main courses: baked chicken, grilled pork, belly, stroganoff, lasagna, 1 of 2 starches, 1 of 3 vegetables, and 1 of 5 appetizers. How many possible dinner combinations are there? So if you go back to the previous slide, makita nyo to, we are actually here at the basic counting. There are m ways and n ways, tapos meron pa tayong O, tsaka P, tsaka Q. So it's basically multiplication of all the possible items. Okay? So, which one is the correct answer here for number 22? A, 120. All right. Actually, that is correct. Number of possible combinations is simply 4, yung unang items, 2 times 3 times 5. The answer here is 120. Now, here is one of the tips that we will give. Hindi namin masyado na-intensify during the Jumpstart. In the UPCAT, if the question is so simple, they make it a bit more complicated. And how was this made more complicated? It gave distractions: baked chicken, grilled pork, beef stroganoff, lasagna, rosemary potatoes, rice, green beans, carrots. Those are distractors. You just need to be very careful in reading what the items are. Okay? So, it's very simple. 4, first item, times 2, times 3, times 5. Bakit ginagawang gato komplikado? Kasi if you're not really looking, if you're not very, very careful, alam nila na panic na kayo, alam nila na kinakabahan na kayo. So, they put in so many items, nakakalito siya tignan. So, you have to really be very careful in reading the question. Okay, nagutom kayo bigla, no? Napakarami, parang sarap nga na menu ng birthday ng tatay nila. Okay, next. So, this is simply counting. Next, number 23. Sayang lang, this would take less than 10 minutes actually. Inabot lang tayo ng tapos na time kahapon. For number 23, the starters for a 6-woman volleyball team have to be listed in a particular order. If there are 13 women in the team, how many possible starting lineups are there? Look at this one. What is the style of counting? Is this permutation or is this combination? Diba? Kasi meron kang sequence dito. So is this permutation or is this combination? Yun lagi una mong iisipin. Before you start answering, you have to first understand what's happening. Okay, so may mga sumasagot ng permu. Yes, it is permutation. Now, if you notice, these are large numbers. Diba? Do not worry, the UPCAT will never have this large of a number. Ginawa namin ito para pahirapan kayo during the review. But in the UPCAT, it's going to be much simpler than this. So this is a permutation problem. And the number of permutations of different things taken are at a time. Ganito kasimple siya. So n factorial over n minus r factorial, and you will get 13 permutation 6 or 13 factorial over 7 factorial. Bakit natin ginawang 13, 12, 11, 10, 9 times 7 factorial over 7 factorial? The reason for that is because we can now cancel 7 factorial and it will give you 1,235,520. Question, were you able to easily multiply that? Kung may calculator kayo, ang dali, di ba? Yeah. But this is difficult. We gave you a difficult time multiplying sequential numbers for the purpose of practicing. Madalas, ang mangyayari sa inyo for the UPCAT, it will never be that high. The UPCAT examiners know na medyo mahirap. Okay? So, nahirapan kayo, okay lang yan. And that was the purpose of this item. Okay? So, rest assured, UPCAT questions will probably go in the upper 100,000s or a few thousands, but never this high. Okay? So, may calculator kayo. I knew you'd use calculator. This is an online exam. So, okay lang naman yan. Are you sure about that? Yes. I am pretty sure about that. Pwede magkaroon ng items na mataas ang numbers, but it's going to be very rare because the examiners know na kulang kayo ng oras. This is a time-pressured exam. If you do this, if you simply multiply 13 times 12 times 11 times 10 times 9 times 8, it would take you 5 minutes just computing. Okay? So hindi siya, it's very unlikely to appear in the UPCAT. So don't worry about it. Nag-slip ako nun, few thousands, not a few hundred thousands, okay? Alam ko medyo kinabahan kayo doon na konti. Yeah, pero practice pa rin. Okay, next, number 24. Before we go to number 24, let's discuss on probabilities. Ganun lang naman yung counting. It's usually combination, permutation, and counting the number of items. So now, we go to probability. Paano nakuha yung 7? Dito? But dinivide because meron kang n minus r factorial. Your n is 13 minus 6, you get 7 factorial. So hindi mo na kailangang isulat yung tuloy-tuloy ng 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 kasi you simply factor it out. You simply cancel it out. Okay? So on probabilities naman, maraming combination on probabilities, and in the next classes ng Intermediate Algebra, for your premium sessions, for your platinum sessions, medyo mas matatakal natin ang probabilities. It's because the probabilities is, well, in the UPCAT with 60 items in mathematics, you'll probably have 1 or 2 items on probability. Okay? And the problems on probability would revolve around this one. The probability of the event is the measure of the chance that an event will occur as a result of an experiment. Usually, an experiment, ang items na gato sa UPCAT is usually playing cards, or number of male or female students in a class, or number of colored marbles na kukunin nyo. Ganun yung mga types ng items na malabas. For our example, it's going to be playing cards. The probability of an event A is the number of ways that A can occur divided by the total number of possible outcomes. So in a card of 52, in a deck of playing cards, you have 52 items, for example. What is the probability of drawing a diamond? Diba? So, ganun yung mga questions niya. So, basically, in our example, find the probability of drawing either a face card or a spade out of a deck of 52 cards. So, simple probability to. How will this work? Una natin gagawin, there are always 52 cards in an ordinary deck of cards. We were surprised actually in the last few years. I'm not sure about your batch, ha? Itong 52 cards na to, they don't write down 52 in the UPCAT. We had to put this in. Maganda yung question, kasama po ba ang jokers sa 52? No, they're not counted. But in the previous UPCATs that we noticed, they just simply said they drew from a deck of cards. They didn't say 52. Okay? And what we were surprised with was that not everyone knew that there were 52 cards in a deck of cards. Pero katanong ko ba, lahat ba kayo nakakapaglaro pa ba ng deck of cards? Okay? Apparently, there was one batch na hindi nakapagsiso, hindi nakapag-swing nung bata sila, at hindi rin sila nakapaglaro ng playing cards. So for those of you who weren't aware na 52, oh yes, I think majority naman sa inyo aware na 52 cards yan, but there were a few na hindi aware na 52 cards. Okay? So yung mga hindi nakapaglaro, you're now aware that there are 52 cards. And in a deck of cards, there are 4 suits, which is the spade, the heart, the diamond, and the club. Tapos yung mga ano na yan, di ba nagugulat kayo ngayon? Merong ibang hindi talaga alam. So we have to do it. It's not 4 faces, it's just 3. So 1 to 10 plus 3 faces. Okay? Natuwa ako dito. Well, it was actually not something na natuwa ako, but it was a surprise that there was a generation about 4 or 5 years ago that they didn't really know what a deck of cards looks like. Buti kayo, marami sa inyo nakapag-experience ng cards. So, there are 52 cards in an ordinary deck of cards. Alright? There are 12 face cards. Bakit 12? Each suit, meron kang tatlo sa diamond, meron kang tatlo sa heart, meron kang tatlo sa club, meron kang tatlo sa spade. And then there are 13 spades in a card. Okay? And you have to see the combination. There are 3 face cards that are also spades. Why is this important? Because you cannot simply add 13 plus 12. You have to remove kung ano yung common sa kanila. Okay? So, the formula would be this way. If you look at the first part, 12 over 52, this is a face card. So you have 12 face cards over 52. That's the probability. Plus, you combine the 13 spades over the 52 cards. So if you simply combine this, meron kang kulang siya. You need to subtract the 3 face cards that are also spades. Kasi nabilang siya twice. Okay? Sa 12 face cards na to, 3 of them are spades. Sa 13 spades na to, 3 of them are face cards. So the probability is simply 12 plus 13 minus 3 over 52, and you get 11 over 26. Okay? So, I hope naintindihan nyo na kung paano nagpa-function ng cards. You need to ask your parents din naman. Ano? So, bakit ngayon may minus? Because the 3 are common. If you simply add these 2, maka-count twice yung tatlong face cards that are also spades. Okay? So, 22 over 52 is simply 11 out of 26. The common questions in the UPCAT on probability are dice, coins, marbles, cards, or gender. And ang susunod na item natin is about gender. Okay? What is the probability that in a family of 5 children, at least 1 is a girl? How does this work? So, pag may pinanganak, it's either a boy or a girl. Diba? Wala namang natural genders na aside from a boy and a girl. So, what is the probability that in a family of 5 children, at least 1 is a girl? You have to first look at the number of outcomes. Bakit ito 2 raised to 5? The first child, it could either be male or female. That's 2. The second child could either be male or female. That's another 2. And you repeat that 5 times, you get 32 possible combinations. Diba? Now, what is your correct answer for number 25? What is your answer for number 25? D. Alright. Maraming sumasagot ng D. May naman sumasagot ng A, wala naman sumasagot ng A. Okay? Most of your answer is D, and you are correct. The answer is D. Ito yung nangyari sa kanya. The 32 is the possible number of outcomes. Okay? The question says, at least 1 girl. Pag sinabing at least 1, it means it could either be 1 girl 2 girls, 3 girls, 4 girls, or 5 girls. Be careful of the statement at least. Okay? Or at most. Or exactly. Yun yung mga terms na iingatan nyo sa probability. And actually, that is the real problem. Okay? I-identify sa nyo. In the UPCAT, they know that smart students, every student understand probabilities and counting. But only the smarter students and the alert ones look at this statement. At least 1, at least 2, at most 1, at most 5. Yung mga ganon. So, the trick of the question is not really about the probabilities. It is. It's part of it. But the real trick is about dun sa at least. Okay? Ngayon, kung nakakita nyo sa choices, ano nakakalito? Meron tayong A, B, D, D. Diba? So which one is the correct one here? You have to also assume, if you see a problem like this in the UPCAT, you raise your hand and you point that this is a mistake. However, you also need to assume that the third item is C and the fourth item is D. Pwedeng mangyari ito, and we've seen this in the past, although they have been a lot more careful in the recent years. Okay? So, it means not all boys, yun lang naman ibig sabihin nito. So, you have 32 possible combinations, and in that combination, there's actually only one combination that is all boys. So, you get the probability is 1 minus 1 out of 32 is equal to 31 over 22, and the correct answer is letter D. All right? That covers your intermediate algebra. Do you have any more questions sa intermediate algebra natin? Let's see this. Please comment on the intermediate algebra exam, in the intermediate algebra post, para yung mga questions nyo dito ay kaya namin i-discuss doon. Okay? Don't worry, the recording of this last 4 items will be added to your to the recording of intermediate algebra ni Ma'am Elia kahapon. Okay? So I'll study how we do the class picture, and tomorrow we'll have our class picture in geometry. All right? Thank you, everyone. Thank you this afternoon, and see you again all tomorrow.